students, so that's a significant reduction, and 44% drop in incidence, and 33% drop in students involved. In terms of withdrawals, there's not been any more withdrawals since the last Prevent and Safeguarding meeting, so that's 11 withdrawals to date this academic year, compared to last year where we had 25. So that's a 56% drop in behaviour withdrawals. In terms of referrals, we've had 14 mass referrals, excuse me, 1 Prevent, 2 early help and 1 adult services referral. The current main concerns include child-on-child conflict, threats, mental health and suicidal ideation, self-harm, eating disorders, social media misuse, aggression, domestic abuse, bullying, attendance and abuse in the home. They're the main categories, but not a full account. What I would say over the last 6 weeks, although it was 5 weeks because we've had the week where we had the week off, the week holiday. We've had some quite high-risk cases. It's been a real stretch on the team, who've done really, really well in supporting our students in these cases. I'm going to hand over to Glenda, who's dealt with some of the kind of high-risk ones. We can't talk about them all, obviously, but we wanted to give a snippet in this meeting. I will start by talking very briefly about one of those students who was on my caseload. She's a 17-year-old student who had a plan to end her life on her 18th birthday, so very, very high risk, and her 18th birthday is this summer. So thankfully her teachers picked up on that concern and brought the student directly over to us at the time of that disclosure. And we took it from there. We spoke to her mum, which obviously was a really difficult conversation. Mum broke down, etc. But mum has been absolutely fantastic in supporting her daughter, and that is always really good when we've got parents and carers at home that take on board the advice, because sometimes they don't, or they just really don't know how to support their children. So she's gone to the GP. So within 3 weeks there's been a remarkable change in the student, and I think that is because a combination of staff here and their quick reporting and the ongoing support that they're giving to that student. Also the support that we're getting at home and that link, we're able to kind of it's support coming from all sides, and the GP has been actually brilliant and done a bit more than what we sometimes see, which is he's done a full mental health assessment, but he's also looked at her physical health. So there was loads of things. She's anemic, she's got thyroid problems, and all of those things do affect a child's mood as well. So she's already on medication. I've done a welfare check on her, and she no longer has that plan, and she really feels the support from her mum, who literally she's been amazing, and she's been communicating with us, etc. So it's just a nice, we don't always have, such a quick kind of turnaround. Sometimes students have to be on our caseload for a long time before we see significant progress, but yeah, the teachers have been absolutely amazing as well. So that's one that I want to highlight. But I know Glenda can choose quite a lot of different ones to talk about, but I think she's got a couple that she wants to share.
Yeah, I think it's important just to share how we're working with outside agencies and what is actually coming through our door. And interestingly
I'm just going to very briefly go over 3 cases, and in each one of these cases has actually been the student coming to make a disclosure, which I think is amazing that they feel they can do that, and it's a safe place. You may have seen quite a few police cars last week. I seem to be on friends and family with the police at the moment. So we have had quite a lot of domestic abuse at home, and that is parent to child domestic abuse. One case that came to me where the student is living with aunt and uncle, and he said that the uncle is beating him and his aunt, and they actually have a shot and showed me CCTV of the uncle actually beating the aunt quite severely, which we had on CCTV. So straight away phoned the police came in and spoke to the student has now been removed from the home and is currently living at a safe address with friends, and I'm working very closely with police and social services on that. They are now doing a family assessment and they're looking at moving him permanently out of the family home because of the risk. Another one of our students came and said that her mum was beating her, and this is with implements, i.e. belts, etc. Again, there's quite a lot of these cases at the moment, and I don't know the reason why. Again, police attended very quickly, took a statement from the student. As it turned, mum was picking the student up, so I had to actually go down to the welcome centre and explain to mum, I'm sorry this disclosure's been made and the police are on their way. They then spoke to mum as well, again working very closely with social care, and another child and family assessment is being done with that one. Very similar case again, another disclosure of mum hitting a child. Police again attended college. All of these students have now feel safe enough to come and check in with us, and they're there on a daily basis checking in, which is nice. I've got social workers coming up to speak to the students in school, in college, so there's a whole network of support around them. The other quite high level case that we had, and Rob is aware of this, is one of our students who has been here for some time. There's a very high risk of suicide, and he came into college to meet with one of his heads of departments and actually made it very clear to us it was only a matter of time. That he's drinking alcohol, and it was only a matter of time before he took his own life. So immediate referral to adult services, I'm working closely with them. They've made referrals elsewhere, and then following a conversation we agreed it was such high risk. So again, I phoned the police, and due to the nature of this concern, they felt it was a 999 ambulance call. And I don't know if you're aware, when you make an ambulance call, you can cancel that ambulance, but they, under those circumstances, were cancelling that ambulance. Ended up going round to the boy. Obviously, they did what they needed to do, an assessment, and he teamses me every single morning to let me know he is safe and well. So that's just an idea of the level, and as I say, there's quite a few domestic abuse at the moment, parent on child. We do need to celebrate the success stories. There's a young lady we have here who's got lupus. She was referred to me from the counsellor because she had suicidal thoughts and was saying that she was going to stop her medication. Again, we've been working very closely with her, with parent, with counsellor. Student has been teamsing me most days, and we've had this line of communication open. And she came in yesterday, and it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like seeing a different student. She has put a lot of work in herself. She's taken a lot of time to self-reflect. She's now taken up wrestling, walking, reading, and she now has a future ahead of her. So I think it is important to say that there are success stories, and it is a breath of fresh air for us to actually see that. So that's just a few of the cases that we're dealing with. Lots of police last week.
Thank you very much for sharing.
I would like to give an update from Sharon, not a detailed update. I want to give a detailed update, really the attendance work that we're doing next time we have this meeting, but to give a general update, she has had 74 cases closed in terms of attendance, and she's got 21 cases open at the moment. She's doing some remarkable work there, and she is communicating with staff, she's communicating with students themselves and home. I said parents, didn't I? So she's doing that work, she's feeding back, and where with some of these cases, obviously they're all going on to My Concern. She's got her own caseload, so she can see it on her spreadsheet as well. She is obviously supporting with the attendance, but some safeguarding concerns are coming out of that, and they are getting shared with the team. So in some cases there is a case, but it's been, safeguarding and Sharon supporting with those cases. In terms of staffing, Mark has now finally started, and so far so good with him. He comes with some expertise there, which is added strength to the team, which is appreciative, and he has been in all sorts of meetings, and he's just hit the ground running. So far so good there as well. But that's it from me.
Any questions? Can I ask on the attendance one, has it made any difference, or do we just know?
That is, we've had some difference, but like I said, I would like to feedback properly on what that difference is and the impact there, especially obviously with the ones that are closed. I need to see, what we're doing about that and who we've still got on our caseload in terms of safeguarding as well. But that's why I said I want to share more detail to look at that, because I would honestly say I haven't looked at it in great depth yet. I want to see what the impact is, or whether it's still the same. Has there been an improvement in attendance, for instance?
I think there are two things there, aren't there? There are two measurements or impacts. One is, yes, from the safeguarding point of view, the check-in has made a difference. And then number two, has there been an impact on the attendance of that person approach? So the two things
Yeah.
there, isn't there?
I do know she's unpicked a lot of issues, and some of the issues have just been this student needs to be withdrawn because they withdrew themselves ages ago, but they're still on our system, still dragging down the attendance. So it's things like that as well, and I know that that's happened. And then there are other issues, and then there has been some safeguarding issues coming up as well. A student doesn't feel safe to come back in because there's been some issues with other students, for instance, but we've not known about it. They've kept, it's only now that they're able to talk about it. They've not shared that before, things like that. But like I said, I can give a more detailed account once we've drilled down on the data.
I had I know last time we met, Daniel, you mentioned about either parent newsletter, but based on what you were talking about now with on getting meeting, etc. I was wondering if we have a plan for strategy regarding parental workshop in how we work here, our culture, British values, because sometimes these parents are still in the cultural zone where they do it their way. I don't know if we could think of that for next year, because it's really sad listening to those cases that can be, so that was my observation.
I can add to that, because if you remember only a couple of weeks ago I said the idea of having parent engagement meetings for an hour and a half with food and what have you. I've started putting those together, and two of those are specifically around safeguarding and around those kind of things you're talking about. So I think they will be really, really useful. So there will be a 1.5 hour session where there will be a half an hour chat, half an hour talk, half an hour chat, done just to go. So I think they are, I don't know what we're going to call them yet, but they'll be parent engagement meetings, and they'll be open for people to come in and just join in. There'll be no like sign up for this. If nobody turns up, we still do the next one. You know, those kind of things.
And we can make some online ones as well.
Well, if we can do it
Online,
online,
let's have a chat, you know, that sounds good.
Can I ask a question about the safeguarding cases that you sent through, I think, to CSG, where you've got 19 students who are saying we can't offer a place next academic year on the basis of safeguarding?
Oh, the do not enroll list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How did that decision come about? You don't need to know the detail without looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
19 of them, so.
yeah, so without going through all the details, a number of those students are already withdrawn, so they were young people that were involved in incidents that we felt these young people cannot be in the organisation, so a number of those are already withdrawn. I want to say
11.
At least, oh yeah, I was going to say 8, but yeah, 11. So 11 of them are already withdrawn.
11 of them are already withdrawn,
Yeah.
and a few of those students we have stopped coming on site but allowing to complete their exams.
Yeah. So they're all young people that have already gone through our system.
If you want a report of who those students are and why, I can get that to you quite simply.
There will be names that you're familiar with, so that can just be a conversation, just to make
Yeah.
sure that you know. But they are young people we've already said that we don't want them outside. They're not.
Yeah, so none of these are actually on site at the moment anyway.
No,
Or unless they're coming for an exam or something like that.
no.
So they're not people that have just had a few.
They come from our behaviour spreadsheet, so our behaviour incident spreadsheet, and Cecil can share that with you now.
So are they withdrawn on the basis of behaviour
Yes. Yes.
specifically?
Yes.
Or was it other safeguarding issues? It's mainly behaviour.
It is all It's all
They are
behaviour.
addressed to other people. And that's something what the grounds need to do for I do not. Because we have other avenues of people that we might
No.
Generally,
No, no.
it wouldn't be fair for our students or us.
Do any of them want to come back?
We haven't had those conversations yet because there's some overlap with curriculum as well. So, and they haven't done their part of plans on my course. So until they've got that, we need to join out really. Otherwise, they're both going to contact the learner.
And I would expect the answer is yes for a lot of them actually, because they've not wanted to be withdrawn in the first place.
Oh, sorry, there's one more thing to add, because I think you're quite right about we should celebrate. We should absolutely, we often don't celebrate safeguarding in terms because it feels wrong to celebrate safeguarding. But the celebration of the first case that you mentioned there, which would have never ever come to light had it not been for the work that we did, because I meet that young person nearly every day and they kick the football around and they dance around and they feel everything looks perfectly okay. Well, until you just go into it, which you've done with that young person, that's changed that young person's life. And I see it now, and so.
And I do think it's important to say that each and every one of those young people had to come to us. Which is huge.
It's safe. We have created a safe environment for them to be able to do. So it's a great work, thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Same as last time, really. Not a lot to report from an external perspective. And it's not about me, so don't. So I'm not saying anything about my ego. But one resident did say to me the other day, "You're not going anywhere, Jeff, are you soon?" When he was talking about the fact that behaviour was so good outside the organisation. And obviously, I put him right. It's not down to me, sir. It's a team effort, but I think his point and his accolade was that he lives right outside the college, and the challenges have gone away, not literally overnight, but we've put so many interventions in place that it's no longer an issue anymore. He is one of the good ones because he understands young people as well, and he understands that if you're 16, 17, 18, sometimes you do shout, sometimes you are noisy, and he gets that. and he doesn't mind people standing outside his house, like a few others. But yeah, I think generally, you know, I saw Gary, I think from the ex-police officer walking through the military estate of the day, and he said, you know, brilliant, yeah, keep up the good work, nothing to report, kind of thing. He said it in the neighbourhood watch meeting. What I would say is that my walks on a Thursday that I do with Rachel at lunchtime, we've got weather's changing, and so therefore we have a significant number of students now frequenting the military barracks. They're not doing anything. There's just a lot of them that are over there, and obviously we're picking them up as everybody else does. And say it's private property, need to keep moving, it's public right of way, etc. And they're all very respectful and say, yeah, sorry, yeah, and they get on with it. But just to be conscious, I think, for our group that go out every lunchtime, is that the number of students now hanging around the military academy is significantly more than it has been over the academic year, and I think it will increase. Over the next few weeks, I think. That's it.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to do the research part. She sent me a quick update. We continue to remain compliant with DBS, etc. There are no ladder referrals. There's one staff complaint from a student that I am currently looking into, with the final restorative meeting being arranged. No formal sanctions. And that is the research part. No questions, please, because I'm not going to answer any of them.
One question about
What part?
All of it.
All of it.
Wasn't very long.
No, it's not. So we remain compliant with DBSs, etc. So we're compliant. There's no ladder referrals, which is good news. And there's only one staff complaint from a student, and they're in the final restorative meeting stage. So there's no formal sanction.
Okay.
Michelle.
I had my plan, but I think I want to just go right back to where Glenn was. You want to start there because I'm currently attending I attended the 2-day AOC conference, and it's mind blowing because the report is now out. The student report, which I shared with the CLG yesterday. I don't think I copied you and Glenda. I'll forward it on to you. And there's quite a lot of stuff going on in terms of our community. There's 3 sixth-form colleges, including ourselves, that completed the survey. So there's a lot of work there. But one of the things that came out, I took a picture because my phone died, my battery died on this, is what needs to happen in terms of personal development sessions in responding to the challenges, anxiety, self-harm, and suicide ideation, all of these things. The recommendation from the conference is tackling back into PD. I know we're aware because we did the audit, and the audit ceremony in more education. So feeding onto that, there's some changes with Samaritans. Samaritans came on today, and Samaritans talk about the massive change is having the chat section on their network where young people are using predominantly than making phone calls. But the chat section is only available in the evening. So when I get more information with that, I'll pass it on to you, Lily. How that's working, is we have the right link to advertise. So that's happening in the evening. That comes
That
to
would
Samaritan.
be interesting because the case that I mentioned about the very high risk suicide has actually told me that he phoned Samaritans and was on hold for so long that he gave up, which is a worry.
That tells you that because they're saying that's where they need to be going to the chat. So that's coming out. Demographics there, young people are using that. And incredibly, this child line is not as effective as Samaritan. But that could just be your own marketing strategy, I have no idea. But that's just what they reported. But looking back on autism and the silent ones, so the SEND community, they talk about them in terms of the sleep and how is sleep working for them because of the medicine they're taking and the fact they're not sleeping. Are we talking to that community? So I'll have to go back and talk to Claire and share. But I picked up from the conference that we needed more people in this room at the conference. I just couldn't hold everything. I was leaving from room to room. I got excited and awe. I need to go here, I need to go here, I need to go here. But eventually I just calmed down and decided to stay within the men's area because of the data for men in the suicide at age 50 upwards, 54 upwards. So I stayed there to get some information for our young boys in terms of when things change for them. Construction comes up quite heavy for suicide ideation. They've reported back to us. So I will have some more to share on that, yeah? So moving on now to what's happening here. So this morning we heard, what's going on with the Mental Health Awareness Week, and it's just increasing. So before I came here, I picked up on 14 students up to yesterday, one-to-one. 7 of them are men, boys, and 8 are girls. So it's the mere fact the boys are coming through, that was pretty good. That could be from the point of view we had a couple of men on. So Jeff, I understand you popped in, but some of the kids talk about you. They talked about. So it's amazing what's happening here when they make that connection. They will remember. We may think, because for every communication is an opportunity for intervention. That's what I picked up. Every communication, how are you doing? So this kid said, the principal come and talk to me. Oh yeah, talk to me. No, you talk to me. No. And they're all getting excited about who we spoke to. I wasn't there. You would know what happened there because I wasn't there. But the mere fact we had Rob out there and Matthew, the men coming through, Charles. What came out of that, Joanne going to A-level is an area that we don't really see for A-level students. 3 of them came forward, and that's year 1. Okay, we don't know what is the agenda there. But for the first time, we've got boys, which we never normally have. So what AOC has pointed out is that the boys tend to point on somebody else and say, they feel experience, he needs support. Let's talk to him, he needs support. I've seen that, and what they say is that's the boy saying, I need support. So the language is switching as well. They talk about eliminating the word but. So they remove the word but, even when coming to attendance, so the language again. Yeah, we know you're late, you're coming in late, it's affected here, but you need to do better here. Take away the word but. It's more like, yes, you're going to pick up your young person, and we need to get you through for the exam, and we need to get you through for your coursework. Let's catch up to do this. So it's taking away the word but and putting the word and in. Nothing has changed, just that we keep repeating it and how we push that through. And Larissa's session on sleep was just brilliant. And a lot of kids came through there wanting one-to-one, and she did a lot of work, and the feedback from there is simple. I never knew I could use these apps. So you may think they know this, but it's more like we got to keep going at it, just to really truly support our young people. So I think that is for the session. Going back now to what's happening for counselling, we've got a reduction, but then there's it went up again slightly because of the event that's going on this week. So when I asked for the data, it was at 35, and then by yesterday, it reached 42. That's on the waiting list. Okay. Then the mental health first aiders, they increase as well, because what's coming through, just like what and Joe said about domestic violence, emotional abuse coming through, that's quite strong from the counsellors. Anxiety for exams remain the same. These trauma is coming through. So trauma session is on Friday, and Andrea is doing something on impact of suicide. We believe that we may get a cry for help for that session because a lot of kids that's going to be in there. So we've requested for a couple of mental health first aiders to be in there. I think Danville, you're going to be there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I may come, I'm not so sure, because my students are always going somewhere because I'm organizing a session, so I tend to have them in different places. So I can't guarantee to be there. So if anybody wants to pop by and support, for Andrea, she'll be in D105, 9:30 to 10:30.
On
Friday. 9:30 to 10:30 Friday. And Trauma Inform is coming in from virtual schools. He's used it before, he'll be here. Period 2, D105 as well, if you want to pass through. to support, because I really can't be in all these places. And I think the last bit for me is student voice and enrichment. So in the AOC, back at AOC, we are competing with some good schools, really strong with enrichment. And Duke of Edinburgh came through quite strong. The question was asked, are we using the funding? And how they can they've changed their policies, the Duke of Edinburgh, to buy more kids post-COVID. So even to do a language, learn a new language, you can get an award for Duke of Edinburgh for that. So mental health, they're bringing in enrichment quite strong, and the variety of enrichment, variation is really important. And they had some young people that came by and shared their own experience. And I sat there listening to a young lady that got, you can see my mind works, looking at all these papers. And she's got cerebral palsy. Yes. And she spoke about having friends and feeling belong. So we recognize that another group, vulnerable white British females, that is still not attending college. And what they point out in that group, in the conference, is that their parents will take them off to go on holiday. Their parents will take them off for their birthday. So they do feel belong in college, and we share the same data. We do feel they feel belong here. But there's something else happening out there. And how do we get the parents to understand our values? So the parenting workshop are really important to close that loop. So it's the broader challenges that we share, national conversation, but enrichment was just something that was really strong, and the young people were speaking about having that sense of getting simple activities to get the Duke Award. So just sharing that where we are. And I think that's it for me in terms of conference. The AOC report is back. I have put together a plan, which I will share in another meeting, because everyone is involved. Careers is involved in that, based on what comes out. Careers, curriculum, and safeguarding, myself, leadership. We're all involved. It's a whole school strategy to continue supporting. But the good news is, the data shows that we are all busy, and we're all saying the same thing. We're all out there trying to save students and get them through.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle?
I just want to say this week looks amazing with all the activities you've put together. Michelle, I just wanted to say that there's loads happening. And does Brenda know what's happening this week? She's not here
Brenda,
today.
the governor.
No, I don't
Well,
think.
I think she would like, I think she would like
Yeah, I
to.
didn't bring this to her, but I must say,
She
no,
likes this.
Lily's team are amazing, because there's so many changes, and we do know Luke isn't here, so really I put my hand up for Lily holding things together and keep moving. This room counts, that will happen. So thank you for that. 2 days to go. Today, the feedback, because we had a marketing team working during the sessions, and they're young. I'm not at all against older people, but we do know the vibrancy with younger people. So the young kids were loving Michaela, loving and Yolanda. You were there. They were excited about them in the room. So that's brilliant, and the feedback looks amazing. So we have shared the feedback. I haven't got anything negative to say. Yes, there are 1 and 2 behavioural issues from some of the boys, but that's a story for us to work with when that happens. But thank you for that.
Thank you, those young people.
What can I say,
Unbelievable. I did tell them when I went into my group, I said, yeah, I'm 7 months off 60. And they didn't budge an inch. So when I left the group, I went, I'm really disappointed. They went, why? I went, because none of you said, oh, Rob, you look 50. Can I just say that, by the way, and I'll echo what Joanna says, but I wanted to do a little bit more. I talk about visibility. It looks fantastic. Everything you see, those action posters that are on there, let's not take them down and throw them away. Let's take them down and put them in the notice board, because it shows that we have the action. That's action. I just love the word action.
Thank you. I've asked Sonny to give us some, we're trying to put some notice board outside, because the young people are now coming outside. because the weather. So Sonny's working on something, like 15 notes what I've asked for. Not sure when it's going to be here, but he promised before the half term, and the half term is gone. There's another one coming up, so who knows? Yes, so we will get that put on Saturday. Yes,
That's visible. It's visible. The moment you see the word action on the Discovery sliding doors, it draws your attention to it. You go, what action? Oh, we'll be doing stuff around mental health and well-being. Yes.
Yeah, it will be a change though, and if Lily team can do that, I would say you beat me, Lily, because I never could get it done. And I put my hand up, the students were to wear green on Friday. Because I could get the staff to wear green, but I could never get the kids to wear green. So if they wear green on Friday, we're going to take photographs of them and have it all around the college. That would be a break for me over the years.
Thank you very much. Liam.
So first, the alternative provision updates. So these are mostly just the homeschool updates, just kind of re-emphasizing, which I think has come up a lot recently, especially as we're interviewing for next year's cohort. These are some of our most vulnerable learners, which, you know, every time you kind of forget about it, it does come back up, and especially meeting, I think we've done just over 50 interviews already for next year. There's another 50 or so to go. All of their stories are quite, you know, they've all got some reason or another for being out of school that is not just as straightforward as they didn't love school. So I appreciate everyone's kind of compassion with when they're dealing with these learners. So just kind of that reminder to kind of engage with them, especially the year 11s now, they're coming in for their GCSEs, they've got the copper lanyards, but they are a little bit more nervous than all the students who've done the GCSEs before. So just, yeah, I do appreciate how everyone interacts with them, and they're always, whenever staff members other than us say hi to them, it really does make their day. They do come back and they say, oh, you know, Rob said hi to me, or Jeff said hi to me, and they echo that. So just, yeah, I'm grateful for everyone to keep that in mind. So that's the main alternative provision updates at the moment, not a lot to update there. In terms of the offsite updates, as Daniel mentioned, the audit is ongoing, so we'll have more updates once we get the report back from that. Just a note, I'm going to be off-site on Friday and Monday for the audit, so I'm going to be at Crystal Palace with Scarlett, who's doing the audit on Friday, and then Welling with Scarlett again on Monday. And then once we get the report back, I'll speak a little bit more, as well as Daniel and Joanna, on this, and we'll incorporate this into our action plan. So I think the next panel will definitely have a lot more updates regarding that.
Yeah, we'll have the audit back by the next panel, so we'll be able to feed that back to everybody. Any questions for Leah?
I've got this thing for Leah. Can Leah share with me the timetable for the offsite provision? We wanted to go there and try and get kids to download the app. But I spoke to David as well, and David has pointed out to me there are challenges with the offsite provision, because even my plans after my course, we can't seem to get that done as well. So the app is really for them, because that's just the contact for them, but knowing what we know now for the boys, we need to somehow find a strategy that we can all get involved in getting them to download it, because we're not getting the numbers through. So I don't know how, but I volunteered, and I realized I'm going to get tired. I couldn't do this. And I was thinking, bring it back to this space. How do we support this for this to happen? They're aware of it, but we have to physically say, let's download. Joe and I did it. We had to go to the classes and talk to the kids, and it's amazing. You know, we got it done just together. You know, so I don't know how we could.
I think we did differently. I think we realised that there's probably a lot of young people off-site who desperately need that app. So I think we don't do it that way. We send it to Billy and the tutors, and we say, this is a non-negotiable download.
Which has been done. So I made a PowerPoint and video tutorial on how to download the app, and the information about the app that was sent to Billy, and not just Billy, also Sunny and Lukey, as well as the supported internships as well, to kind of put that out there. So that's been given to the tutors. There have been a couple reminders sent out. So
be honest.
at the beginning, I can see when there are views on the video, and there weren't a lot of views, but then I sent a more passionate email, and then the views went up. So, so the information has been disseminated to the students, one way or another. So the tutors are for sure aware of it. A lot of the students have seen the video, but I do think, especially for next year, looking forward, it would be great to look at how we can make sure stuff like that is getting encouraged in if they're doing PD or through their tutors. That's being, but on our end, we have sent out all that
I
information.
think for now it's a conversation with Billy to make sure that it's given to those students. They've only got a few weeks left. And next year it'll be part of their induction anyway, so that it will just be something they do before that first week finishes.
When Joe and I did, I'll never forget when Joe said to them, you know, it's just there, just download it, and then when you need it, you can click on it. And they went, okay, and they did it. Yesterday for A-level students, Michelle Kingsmill said, Michelle, they wouldn't do it. But after they watched the video, they go, okay, I'll do it. So the groups are quite different in how they're going to do it. But I think for us, physically being there and helping them, and I'm not so sure how confident the tutors are in doing it. So if they don't sell it right, because myself and Joe, we did a fantastic job, but we had to go in there and to get it done, you know. So I think I hear you. I don't know if we don't get it done, how we're going to do it.
Can we separate it to see how many of the offsite link people have downloaded it?
Yes.
Okay, can you let me know that, and then I think we'll make a decision on what we do, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah.
Have we, while we're on that, have we also got an update on the safeguarding app?
The student safety app, yes, I have been working with Monica to implement that. That one's been a bit more delayed in rolling it out, but I am looking at kind of doing the same thing, creating a video, sending that out, and really getting that, especially for kind of next year, hit the ground running with that. But that I am working on the video, and hopefully we'll send that out later this week.
We've got a meeting with them. Is it this Friday or next Friday?
So they haven't, so the students have used this app.
Is there has anyone downloaded that one?
No. Or not that I'm aware of.
So it hasn't been launched yet.
Okay. Thank you very much. Lou?
Yeah, so in PD, we have been promoting the student safety app in the launch week. We have had several conversations with the personal development tutors in those weekly team meetings of how they can promote it, how they can align it to the different points of the year, exam stress, etc. So they have been receiving those updates and information, and it is just embedded every single week as a reminder that it's there and you can use it if you wish to. So we've had that continuously throughout every single week since just after the Easter break. We're also doing weekly check-ins just with the whole class to see what is the morale like, how is everyone feeling, because they differ so much whether they've got coursework or whether they're really exam heavy, and how that looks for all of the different classes, and then also the individual learners. In week 3 of term 3, we started doing one-to-ones with students, and those have rolled on throughout the following weeks, and we expect will go into next week as well, because we have had wonderful workshops and we've had other people coming in, so some of the classes haven't had it, they've had exams, but we want to make sure that we capture every single learner before half term to have a one-to-one with their personal development tutor. In addition to that, in week 3, we had half of the session was dedicated to grooming. It was really interesting what came out of that in terms of how they understand healthy relationships, or maybe don't understand it very well. So it was well received overall by the students, and it's a heavy topic, so it wasn't enjoyable, but it did what it needed to do. In week 5, where we are now, we have got Mental Health Awareness Week. So for those classes that don't have workshops, they do have mental health awareness, not training, but they have something being delivered to them about mental health awareness, and it covers a couple of different bits and pieces, from sleep to general wellness, which has been really, really good and well received. And the workshops have just been fantastic. It was really, really good to hear so much good feedback. Even today, the students are really, really happy with it. And I think seeing other faces coming in as well has worked really, really well. So Taskers was brilliant, Yolanda, Michaela, they all went down so well. And having also our staff members seeing them, because they see them around corridors, but they might not always have interactions with them. And some students you do have more interactions with than others. So it's been really, really nice to see. Next week we are doing futures, so it's not really aligned to this, but it will be continuing, like I said, the one-to-ones and check-ins with the classes to see how they are and where they're at, and also keeping really good communication via Teams, because we are conscious that for some groups they will only have 2 sessions now because of the way that the exams fall and things like that. So the personal development tutors are genuinely, considering they've had so much turbulence, they've been really, really good to keep so steady for the students, and I think that's been reflected.
Thank you very much, Lily. Any questions?
I had an observation, I'm not sure this is for Lily, but for this team. I had an observation yesterday when I was doing my session that level 3 year 2, don't have PD. I thought it was only A level, but year 2 does have PD. So my session was about mental health in university, mental health and work after the leave year. So the suggestion this afternoon in our task group with Rob is that if year 2 doesn't have any PD for various reasons, if there's a way we could somehow give them either one session of something that we could put online for them, because I think that they're missing out. And based on what you're talking about earlier, Dan, in terms of terrorism, I'm talking about, after the leave here, we all have what happened to that group of students. I really want to advocate for them and how we could either put something available for them to go look at, and how I may come to them every week because of our staffing issue. But I just had to share that. I only found that out. I could have been told this, but I don't remember. But I only get in my head yesterday that there was no.
Thank you very much.
I've just got one thing to add to this, sorry, I'm sure everybody's done it in this room, but Lily, thank you very much for the work that you've been doing over the last few weeks. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
There's nothing from Andrea. As I said, she's going to have something in our next one. So the next section, can you just do me a favour?
Yeah.
I wanted to have a bit of an open floor. I know we've not had one of these for a long time in regards to safeguarding things that might be affecting you, people you know about, things that you've seen in the news and stuff like that, coming from the NSPCC cases. So what I like to do when I'm I don't want to say bored because that doesn't make it sound a bit weird, but when I'm feeling curious, I like to go through the NSPCC case reviews, and it's something that we go through. We have our safeguarding training every year. We have to go through loads of case studies and we go through it. So when they publish them, I just kind of take a look and see if there's anything relating to us. Sometimes I see there's things that are relating to my local area. So there's a few cases in here, and actually there's a few cases that popped up that were around suicide. And obviously these case studies are meant for people to review, see where there were failings, and then kind of see how can we address those failings, how can we kind of put steps in place to be better. There's the Southport inquiry has now been published up on there as well, so they've got the information about that. I definitely recommend, it's in the link so you guys can see it on their agenda. Just to flick through a couple, in, I say spare time, but in your work time please. And just go through a few cases, because you'll see a lot of them match up with what we're doing anyway. And sometimes when you see how some of the cases start and end out, just listening to Glenda talk about some of the cases that we do, and then you look at some of these cases and you're like, oh, that step that Glenda did is not in that case study. And that might be why that case study ended up the way it did. So I think it's really good to just be aware of what is happening across the nation in terms of, and the case studies that they feel relevant to highlight to us. So definitely take a look at that. But in the last kind of half an hour of the meeting, because there's nothing else left on the agenda, is there anything that people think that we need to really be aware of in regards to our young people now, more from an anecdotal, where we've got national evidence, we know that, but and for next year, are there things that anyone feels particularly strongly about, like, hey, you know what, this is something I want to be bringing to the Safeguard and Prevent panel every week, because we've only got one more panel after this one, so this is the best time.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Which part?
No, because what we want
Start
to
from the
bring in.
beginning.
Yeah.
Bring in.
Do you have anything to add in terms of what might be happening in your local context, in terms of safeguarding? And then the second part is there anything that you feel strongly about that should be added to the Safeguarding and Prevent panel next year? So just those two parts.
I think, for me, I'm not so sure, because I was going to talk with Joe about that, you know, in terms of the demographics for male and female. I wanted to unpick that. Because based on what happened this week, I wanted to unpick that. So I don't know if we could look into that and look and see in terms of behaviour as it changed the landscape. For me, it's most of males, but then we've got females playing up as well. And then sort of bringing some organisations that specifically deal with those issues. So that's what I would like to bring back in, the gender specific. Not sure if it's an inclusion thing. I'm going away from inclusion. I don't know, Rob, it's your area, but I felt that that's an area that we may want to look into.
Anecdotally, and I haven't looked at the stats, if you remember 2 years ago, it was probably about like 70% behaviour incidences for young ladies. Like the year before I took over, because I remember those stats. Whereas I feel like the last year and this year, it's kind of balanced out a bit, but I don't know the exact numbers. But we can bring that data to when we do the reviews.
I think data is really important there, and it will show not just what's happening locally, but what is actually happening within our college in terms of males and females. How many of these incidences are our most vulnerable students versus those that we didn't know were vulnerable until the incidents happened and things have come out, for example. So that's what I want to do going forward, is actually not just touching on some of the cases so that you understand what's really happening, but also looking at the drilling down on the data even more. This is not enough for me to share. I know we've only got a certain amount of time in these meetings, but I just feel like we need to look at specific information, because only when we look at that information we can really plan our education, our PD, what we need to do. You know, I feel like we've just made a start of doing that.
I think that's a very, very important point to reiterate to everybody. So the purpose of this meeting isn't the start and end of what we do with safeguarding. All the meetings that we have, all the conversations that we have, all the training that we go out, that is all